Just want to get this out there right away. I'm not the hugest Star Wars fan. I mean, I like the Force Awakens and all of that, but I don't really know all the specific droids or aircraft, like the C-3P90X or the X-Buffalo wings, so if I pronounce something wrong or left something out, just know it's because I honestly didn't really know. Oh yeah, this is a spoiler review. There's a disclaimer. So Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, is a story that takes place in between Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and A New Hope. It revolves around a character named Jyn Erso and how the rebels of the Star Wars anthology gained access to the plans of the Death Star in the beginning of A New Hope. In a nutshell, this movie is like one of those DLC side missions you get in a video game, where its story definitely affects the main plot, but you can still just skip over it and still be able to understand the whole franchise's storyline. So voluntarily watching this is like saying, it's there, so I mean, why not play it? Yeah, that sounds about right. Felicity Jones, who plays Jyn Erso, the main protagonist of the film, did a great job, and so did the others, Diego Luna, Rez Ahmed, Jiang Wen, and Forrest Whitaker. Specifically Felicity Jones, she was able to hold that leadership role without much trouble, while also being able to show weakness and vulnerability during the intense emotional scenes. Also, I'm glad they didn't immediately force a relationship with her and Cassian, and that's not because I didn't want to see them together, it's partly because we haven't fully established their relationship yet, and partly because doing so would have made the whole thing feel rushed and empty. And besides, they all died in the end, so yeah, no more relationships. It was cool to see Mads Mikkelsen again this year. He did a superb job bringing Galen Erso to life. Though hands down the standouts here were Donnie Yen's character Chirrut Îmwe and K2SO. The first introduction to the blind kung fu warrior with the fantastical martial arts was brilliant, and K2SO's small concise statements through a monotone voice really added charm and flavor to the movie. Ben Mendelsohn was also pretty good in the film. He looked pretty menacing and has perfected the art of looking really pissed off. As far as cameos go, Vader had a couple of cool scenes, and by a couple I literally mean couple as in two, because those are the only two scenes he's actually in. I didn't really expect him to be in it much. He was barely marketed in the trailers, so good thing I didn't get hyped for that. His first scene was flat out mind-boggling because I was still getting over the fact that I got to see Darth Vader on the big screen in full HD, as opposed to the old raggedy 480p movies. I'm joking. Please don't crucify me. But the second scene leading up to the beginning of A New Hope was just chilling. To me, this was the best physical on-screen performance of Vader I've ever seen. Everything I've seen Vader in the original trilogy, he's always moved so slowly as if he was struggling to move in that suit. Ever since I was a kid, I never saw him as this menacing monster that fans claimed him to be. I just liked him because he had a sleek and stylish suit with a cool built-in inhaler. Here though, he's throwing dudes left and right. He was swinging his lightsaber around and continuing his combo with like a 360 spin into an invisible force choke slam. That's when I realized that this was the fastest I've ever seen him move before. He was intimidating here because it felt as if you couldn't outrun him, even though a handful of the rebels did at the end of the movie, but that's not the point. So yeah, if you still want to call me a heretic and kill me for expressing my opinion, I can't really stop you. Most of the CGI was phenomenal. It's amazing to see Star Wars at a time like this where visual effects are much better and are up to date. The blasters look more beautiful than ever, the AT-AT or those giant walkie thingies felt much bigger, and the Princess Leia ending was just chilling. By far the most jaw-dropping CGI part was in fact the last shot of the movie. Maybe it was just that the shot went by too quickly, but that Leia shot was the most impressive CGI I've ever seen in my entire life. For those of you who don't know really much about how visual effects works, replicating metal, like the ones used on Iron Man's armor or Optimus Prime's body, is much easier than replicating human skin. This is because human skin has vein outlines, pores, little hairs, and all that, whereas armor is rigid, making it simpler to make. I watched this movie with a group of friends, so one of my buddies sitting next to me did exactly as I did. The second Princess Leia turned around towards the camera. At the same time, we both slowly leaned closer out of our seats and squinted our eyes at the screen to make sure we were seeing things correctly. To me, it looked scarily realistic, but again, maybe it just went by too fast. I've seen some comments on other YouTube videos saying that it was noticeable, but personally, it looked flawless to me. I could possibly watch it again and notice something odd, but as of right now, that looked like a young Carrie Fisher traveled into the future to film the movie. The action was astonishing too, especially the ending battle with the AT-ATs coming in. Those things felt bigger than usual, so props to director Gareth Edwards for that stylistic choice. But now for the negatives. Yes, it was sad to see the Rogue One squad members die one after another, and each death scene had sprinkles of heartfelt moments, but none of them hit me too hard. Probably the saddest death scenes to me were Donnie Yen's character and K2SO, but even those didn't feel too penetrating like the death of a good guy should. There was something missing. I was thinking about it for a while after leaving the movie theater as to why I felt like this, and I realized that almost all of the characters, besides Jyn Erso, weren't really fleshed out. Like, at all. Okay, wait, let me take that back. Each character was given some background, like Chirrut Îmwe and Baze Malbus being the best of friends, and Cassian growing a new moral code towards the end of the second act, but they were all incomplete. I mean, they showed us that Îmwe and Malbus were BFFs, but they never clearly established its background. Like, why were they best friends? What have they been through together? Did they just meet each other on the street and slap each other's butts, and instantly became brothers? What happened? In Cassian's case, we did see him stop Jyn from killing Krennic, establishing Cassian's conscience growth, but that's all we get of him. It's literally just one layer to him. This isn't to say that the actors sucked. I'm talking about the characters. Almost 90% of them were all one-dimensional. Well, what do I say Jyn Erso's an exception, you may ask? What makes a good multi-dimensional character? Well, take for example Jin. We saw her grow from childhood to adulthood, we saw her move from dependent to independent, and we saw her remember how to trust others again after spending years actively avoiding people because of those who walked out on her. I know there's only so much time you can put into one movie, but the reason why I would rank this lower than The Force Awakens is because The Force Awakens, though it was a rehash of the original New Hope storyline, made me care about its developed, interesting characters. I cared about Rey, I cared about Finn, and I cared about BB-8. And yes, their character arcs aren't complete either, but there are going to be sequels to further those into fully developed arcs. But for the Rogue One squad, they all died. There isn't going to be a sequel for them. Seriously, I don't even remember this guy's character arc. Also, as I stated earlier, most of the visual effects were stellar, but some stuck out like a sore thumb. Tarkin shows up in this film, and his scenes were on and off for me. The actor who played Tarkin in the original trilogy, Peter Cushing, hopefully I pronounced that name right, died in 1994, so the filmmakers did what filmmakers do best and completely CGI'd his face. In half of his scenes, the visual effects worked for me. The lighting was on point, the shadow casting was scarily realistic, and the human facial expressions made me buy into it more. But the other half of the scenes where I did notice the CG, just know that it was really off-putting. The shading looked a bit off this time, his face looked like it was made out of clay, and his eye movement made it look like he was part of a video game. These not so great CGI parts I think can be spotted most easily when he's standing right next to an actual human being in the same frame, where you could see the stark contrast between the real actor standing next to a plastic human. Some say that the CG on him was great, but personally, and remember this is just my opinion, I don't think our CGI technology is quite there yet on replicating human skin. My last gripe is that the first act of the movie struggled to find its footing. It started off really fast with transitions from planet to planet, then it randomly just slows down, and then it fast transitions from planet to planet again. It may sound like I hated the film, but I didn't. I liked it, but just not as much as I thought I would. You guys should really watch it if you haven't already, which you should have, cause, I mean, well, why did you watch this? I just spoiled everything for you. It's a really good movie, not a great one though, as it could use some brushing up. I'm gonna give Rogue One: A Star Wars Story an 87%. What do you all think of the newest Star Wars movie, Rogue One? Let me know down in the comment section below. I know I haven't been posting any versus videos or interesting thought-provoking explanation videos lately, but I promise you that one of those will be coming very soon. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching my videos. If you found this video entertaining, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Also, consider following me on my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts. And for more of my videos, just click right here. Happy holidays, everyone.